We welcome you back this evening to our second gathering, welcoming our neighbor that Lindora and I have put together for the congregation. Last week, just want to lift up briefly, our goal for these 3 weeks is to listen to people's stories, recent immigrant stories on what life looked like before they got here, what life looks like now, what are some of the hurdles, and we're listening in those stories of how we can be better neighbors. And as I said last week, when I say better neighbors, I mean literally a neighbor as far as people that are living next door to you. What can we do to make someone's life easier as they're going through a lot of other changes in that life, and how can we be good servants for that? And then also we have our ear open for what kind of ministry this church might be about for the different communities that are moving into the area. And so last week we heard Lindora talk about some of the peace and justice work that she's doing for women, and a foundation that she's starting. And you know, is there room or vision for us to be a part of that? This week, I'll let these guys introduce themselves. But Minda on the end here is an outreach staff person at Peace Lutheran in Gehanna. And so, so, right, Minda? Right. and so that their Peace is already active, involved, helping our new Ukrainian refugees that are coming here. And so she'll show some of what they're doing and probably lift up opportunities. Suzanne, I know, has talked to Minda about some of those things. And Matt is a member of Peace in Gehanna, and kind of made the connections for Peace that started all this with his friendship with Natalie. So I'll let him begin. Lindora, did you have anything you wanted to add? No. Okay. Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for doing this. And now you got to sit, like lights are on you, and you got to sit in front of everybody, and so I know it's awkward and feels weird. So I apologize for that. Oh, you don't need this, but you're going to hold it because you're going to hand it to
Okay, sounds great. Well, thank you, Pastor Carl. We are pleased to be here this evening, and it's particularly nice for me because I grew up in Reynoldsburg, graduated from Reynoldsburg High School many moons ago, but it's nice to be back. So, as Carl said, I am a member of Peace. I've been a member for several years. And a family friend of mine, Luba Kerpita, and her cousin, Natalie, who's here with us tonight, I was having a conversation several months ago when the whole terrible tragedy began in the Ukraine. And Luba is from Ukraine, and so we were just having a casual conversation at my house, and I expressed an interest in trying to help some way. And we talked about a lot of the wonderful organizations that you can provide financial support for, the Red Cross and many other great organizations. But in my heart, I felt like I wanted to do something where I could really see and touch and feel a way to help people. And so she mentioned that she and Natalie were helping Ukrainian refugees come over to Central Ohio and helping their families locate here. And that's really how this all started. So what's wonderful about Peace Lutheran, I went to Minda and Pastor Doug and mentioned this and said, I want to help. Do you think the congregation could maybe get behind this? And so one thing led to another, and these folks, as you're about to hear, I'm going to let them do most of the talking. They're very brave. They have a lot of challenges coming over to a new place, leaving family members behind who are in harm's way. Children are with them, knowing no one, not having schools to go to, not having financial assistance. I can go into great detail, I won't tonight, about how the federal government was able to get them over here, but the red tape involved in providing legal forms for them to be able to work. They all want to work. They're unable to do that. So we kind of stacked hands at Peace and came up with some ways to try to help. And it was primarily through gift cards at department stores, grocery stores, things like that. And they've come out to the church and told their stories. We've taken the kids to the zoo, things like that, and the congregation has really gotten behind that. So I'm going to introduce Natalie, who is going to tell her story, and then help introduce the other folks here, all of whom are very nervous. So if you could please bear with them. But Natalie, you want to go ahead and talk about how your background?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having us, and thank you, Pastor Carl, for having us. And I am originally from Ukraine, came in 2000. My story of my family, my husband's family, because we were Christian during the former Soviet Union, it was really hard to go to church. So everybody, like almost all the churches were closed, and the people were not allowed to go to churches. So there was a program opened to come here as religious refugees. So my family came here as religious refugees. And my cousin Luba and Matt said her father was a pastor, and they had raids in their home often. They were looking, as KGB were looking for Bibles, for Christian materials, and many pastors were in prison because of they could find something. So it was a hard time, and because of that, United States had opened a program for refugees to be able to come here. So we are here, and it wasn't an easy process for us to adjust, but we live here. We're so happy that we live in this blessed country, and we have everything that we need for our families and a safe environment. And now when that war started in Ukraine, we wanted to help our people also, because the United States had a program like they call parole. For the first immigrants, they had parole only for a year. Like couple of these people, they have only for a year permission to stay here. And this parole will expire for Valentina. She's 75. She's from south part of Ukraine, Odessa. It's a port. She had missile exploded like 100 meters from her house. And she has 2 sons and 1 daughter. 2 sons, she got really sick with high blood pressure, and 2 sons said, "Mom, you need to leave," because a lot of women and children were taken buses, and they would take them like to different countries, like Hungary or Poland or whatever was closest. And they said, "Mom, you need to leave, you need to go." And she left with other people to Hungary. No, Hungary. So they stayed in Hungary, and then it was opportunity open here. She came and she got that parole for 1 year. And the same, so she has 3 kids and 2 sons are staying there in Ukraine. And one is physically disabled, but they are there helping and hoping that it will end soon and they will have peace. But she worries about them, because that's every day what she talks about her sons. And she has 3 grandchildren. And 1 daughter was able to come here with 2 grandkids, and 1 grandson is there in Ukraine also. So we have Olha. She is 26. She is staying with me right now. She got, then the United States government, they changed the immigration, like parole for 2 years. So she has parole for 2 years. And she graduated from university, and her major was in geology. And she was working there, but when war started, of course, a lot of those places just stopped operating. So she was without a job. And she has her parents, a lot of her family, women with kids, and they left the country. Her parents are staying in Ukraine. She misses them. She can help them from here more probably than she would be staying there, and it wasn't safe. And then we have Violetta. She's 42. She's from the west part of Ukraine. She has 2 children, 2 girls, with her here in USA, 14 years old and 9 years old. And her husband is in Ukraine. Her mom is in Ukraine, brother is in Ukraine, and it's been really hard for her. For them, I remember, I will tell you just maybe they will tell more stories, but one story when they just came to the country, and we even don't think to tell people different things how we live here, but on the first Wednesday, the family they were staying in, forgot to tell them also, and the first Wednesday when we had those tornado sirens, the kids were like outside within seconds, scared, didn't know what was going on. So we had, the person that they were staying with, it's just, please, it's okay, it's everything. And we had other people that were scared also. They were telling us, we didn't know what was going on, that siren, we thought something is wrong here too. So it's adjustment for them, and maybe they will tell about themselves a little bit more, but also there is for Valentina and Beta, the biggest hurdle that we had with them, they came last year in the end of March, and they had permission for 1 year, that parole for 1 year, to work and live here. But permission to work, Violetta got only like the last week in December. So in the whole time, it's like these two children, it was a little bit hard. Well, this is the short story for them, but I think they can maybe tell a little bit more about themselves. Yes, I think Valentina, it's hard for her. She will cry because but maybe Violetta But kids, how did they adjust in school? How was your, like I said, first Christmas here without your family, without your husband?
So, thank you anyway. We try to stay thankful and appreciate whatever is going on around. And even today, it's like an adventure for us to be in a new place. So, yeah, but it was hard. And for kids, it was hard just to be apart from everything you used to live in. Like it happened suddenly. We weren't prepared for this. Like we didn't plan to live in another country or like to be separately, like from my husband, my mom, and for my daughters from their grannies. So they missed her a lot and that. So well, it's good that we have connection anyway. Now we have internet. But now they have a lot of problems with lights. It's like half of the day, there is no light, no internet, nothing. So even this communication right now is hard. The last holidays, like we didn't feel, like I was thinking that we couldn't feel that it's Christmas time because we don't go like together somewhere, or we don't do things together, or we don't visit my mom like we usually would do and eat together. But when I talked with them, from their side, it was even worse because they said, you know what, like we have only candles right now. It's like a romantic evening, but it's so sad, it's so dark, and there is nothing to be happy about. Like my husband said, just nothing makes me happy right now, just nothing. I look around and nothing, I don't see anything like what I can look for. So still, we have much more. I don't know what to say.
Her husband is in the forces that protects, watching for the order and protection of the city. He's not on the front line, but he is in the city, protecting.
Can you talk a little bit, if you wouldn't mind, talk a little bit about the children? I know when they first came here, you were worried about schools. I know there's some opportunities there, but how do you keep the children positive, and how's that going?
You know, still it's up and down. So, some days they're, no, well, I'm glad that my older daughter, she said to me like, Mom, don't worry, I understand we have to stay here. We have to accept what we have right now. Like, she was crying, the first months probably, she cried like every day because of her friends. But still, I said to her, your friends are all over. Like people from Ukraine, they can go any place where there are somebody that can help. So some would go Poland or other country. So we came here because my friend and Natalia invited us. So I said our home, our land are not the same either. Like, I know you are crying. You would like to to bring it back, but it's like it's impossible right now. So, and she couldn't find friends here. She went to school, and for that time, like it was hard. She didn't know English that well, and she was in the class with other Spanish-speaking children. So, but mostly for her, it was the hardest to receive that there was no friends that she would used to, and in her age, it's so important to talk with somebody. Well, I'm glad we became now more friends with her. And yeah, I would say that if my kids would be younger, maybe it would be harder, because I would need to watch them more, like sit at home. And now I can work at least a little bit and be away from the house because she is older and she can watch the younger one. But still, there are so many emotional issues that you have to face each day. Like, she still has trouble in school because she has to learn like history all in English. And she tries every day like to learn it. And when she got a low grade, because she said, Mom, I forgot the next day what I was learning yesterday. Like in Ukrainian, she would do it. She was one of the best students. And here, like, she would receive D, I think. It's like 60. She can cry every day again. So, Mom, like again. And so I have to encourage her. But sometimes I need encouragement. And I don't know what to say else to her. But for the younger one, it was at all. She was just crying at school. She couldn't understand anything at all. She didn't know that English at all. But now she speaks a lot English, so she's doing good right now. So they got 2 friends, and it's better so for them. But in the beginning, yeah, it was like, yeah, we would cry every day because of, well, I would continue to say them, there is no missiles, so you have something to be thankful for. You are protected. You are in a safe place. But they wanted to leave, like to feel something. So
I know when you came to Peace, you talked a little bit about faith and how important that is. I don't want to put you on the spot, but can you comment on that? How Scripture and faith has been helpful?
Yeah, you said
And
that
maybe
some of the scriptures, they just comfort you and they show you that there is hope in the future, and it just
like every day now I have a scripture that I stand on. So it was so many for now. I don't remember exactly what.
But just
was.
like how general faith supports you.
I think it's the only thing that. How can we live right now? It's just when we can trust that God is in control, and I know. Like, I don't know what it will happen like in a minute or tomorrow, but only because I can hold on God. Well, actually, when I think about people that don't believe in God, I know how to live in this case. Really, it's so terrible, probably. But I'm not sure that I answered the question.
You did. You did. You're great. Minda, do you want to talk a little bit about, in more detail, about what we've been doing at Peace? And I know this is close to your heart.
I'll need the tissues. When Matt came to us during a time when we were all looking for something to help, in some way to help what was going on in Ukraine, I guess I kind of turned back to him and to them to say, what is the best way for us to help? We can't fix it. We can't do everything that you need. We can't really be that you need. And so what we came up with was just offering some financial support through gift cards to say, give you some dignity and some control over what it is that you can purchase. And at the time, I think when you all came back in March, the way I understood is so many refugees came with absolutely nothing, with a backpack into weather that was, heading into summer. They didn't have clothes, they didn't have food to put on the table, they didn't have any housing. And so that was just Peace's way to respond. And I guess our prayer always there is that it's temporary, is that it's going to be over. And we were hoping it would be over at Christmas, and I'm sure that was your prayer as well, and that it's just feels like never ending. And the drop in the bucket that we can do to help, I hope makes a difference in that there's somebody in your life that's behind you and that loves you and cares about you. And I thank Matt for bringing them into our lives, and it also brings a personal connection and a story that is not on the news, but it's in our neighborhood. So it was easy.
Would you like to open it up for questions, or what else can we talk about?
I'm really curious about the process. Like I'm living in Ukraine one day, and then are you in a camp for a while, and then do you come with just a backpack, and do you have a place to live when you come here? Is that part of like, I know Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Services is one of the organizations that helps with this. Do they help you find places to live in the midst of this, and what? Yeah, so I don't know anything about how you're in Odessa one day, and Gehanna a week later. So I'm really curious about that.
Usually a lot of churches organized like buses. They would hire buses, and they would take children and parents with children, or women, not parents, women with children, or women. They would take them outside of the country. So it depends on what part. Like the west part would go through Poland, and Poland they had probably most of all the refugees. And then from Poland they could go to different, like Czech, Slovakia, or Germany, but a lot of them stayed in Poland. And they were centers that they would bring refugees on buses, and they were told you can go there, different schools, different like conference halls, they could stay there. And but the south part, like Odessa, they would go to Hungary because it was the closest there. They would that was on the news probably, and from churches, people would tell each other there will be bus there tomorrow. Just get the necessities, your documents, and something that should change, not the suitcase, just something simple, because there won't be enough space for people. And then they would go there, but it was not enough place to stay for them in Poland or other places. So as soon as United States opened that program, like we knew Violetta, she's from my city, and I had another friend here. We heard that maybe we can help her. Let's talk to her if she wants to come here with children. Maybe we can buy a ticket for her, and she would give us our address, and we would fly her with kids in. That's what we did. But if people didn't have anyone here, and they were just in those refugee places in Europe, throughout Europe. Yes. Mm-hmm. you need. For the first refugees, there wasn't like, they were not ready, I think, with everything. And so they had a program for 1 year. But they would, on the border, they would ask, what address are you going to? Give us the address. But then they said, because like them, they have only through March 30th, but since it's still war going on there, we are still waiting to hear what's going to happen to them, because the parole will expire on March 28th, I think. But for Olha, she came, it was the same program they just explained, extended, they said for 2 years. We had to, so she's from that area where I used to live, so I knew her parents. My sister knows her parents, so she gave my address. But скільки ви мали час на якісь зібратися, що ви брали з собою основне? Скільки ви часу мали, щоб зібратися? How much time do you have to pack everything and leave? По-англійськи кажи. In English.
So we had like maybe 1 day. Well, I got information in the morning that there will be a bus from the church taken to Poland. So, like one bus already left, and people called me from the church that there are still free seats. So, like I had even half of the day to decide to go, but then the driver відмовився вести нас.
But the driver canceled the...
Yeah, probably he was afraid, so they were looking for another bus. So we had more day, like half of the day longer, but still we couldn't take much stuff because no, the bus was full. So each like mom with her kids could have only one suitcase, even though we had a big backpack. So,
Each of them had a backpack.
yeah, when we came to Czech, we were going to Poland, but while we were going there, we would stay a long time on the border. The place we should go, it was already full, so we couldn't go there. While we were on that bus, like, people were looking for another place that could receive us. So we went to Czech. They find a conference hall there and a church that were ready to receive us. So we came there. There were like 10 moms and 20 kids. We stayed together, shared several rooms together. So, but still they couldn't have us like for a long time because they have to use that conference hall. So each one of us, we had to look for another place where we can stay for longer time.
And all the families, I think, went into different directions, right?
Yeah.
All the families that she stayed with, she knew a lot of those moms from her city, but everybody had to leave. Or somebody found a family that would accept them in Germany. Somebody found another family in a different country that would accept them and purchase the tickets for them. So everybody is in different places right now.
I think there are also like government programs because some of my friends, they would stay in gym in some schools. It wasn't like Christian programs, but government would help also. But mostly it's only when people help you. Like if you don't know anybody, it's kind of, I would say even it's dangerous too, maybe as much as to stay in a war. So like because you don't know who you will meet, and especially if you was kids, there were accidents that missing kids, like so yeah.
Yeah, and here is for them the hard is that it took so much time with the documents. So they came here, but they were not able to work legally. So because to apply with the Immigration Naturalization Services for employment authorization card, it would take, they told us it would take 6 to 8 months, and even longer. It depends on the state, but then just took really long time. They couldn't work legally.
And that's been one of the things that's been most frustrating. Minda said, we all want to just figure out a way to fix this. And there's other families that are not here tonight. They all want to work. They want to support their families. And we've made calls to Congress, and it's just impossible to get the paperwork done. So that's another sad part of this tale for these brave people. They want to work, and they can't.
That we don't know right now because it still does not look like war. The war will end soon in Ukraine, from what we can see. And that's what we are asking naturalization and immigration services what to do, like if they can stay, because some people can stay for 2 years, but they have only that for 1 year visa parole. We don't know yet. There are no legal answers yet.
How did they end up here?
Sorry.
How did they end up here?
How did they end up here? Everybody had to know someone. Olga, that's in the middle. My grandma used to live close to her grandparents, and I was not really close to her parents, but because I knew the family, then my sister. I remember from when I used to live there. So when she wanted to come here, so I said, yes, you can come here. I will give you my address. You can come and stay with me until you can settle, find something, a job and everything for yourself. And the same with Violetta, with the kids. There's her close friend here. She is married to an American. They live here in Columbus. He was a missionary in Ukraine. They lived there. They just came back here 3 years ago. And we just decided maybe we can help them because they need to leave that place, that conference hall in Czech, and they need to leave. They need to go somewhere. So we told them maybe we will pay for their tickets and bring them here. So they need to know somebody to come. Yeah.
You mentioned a little bit, what can the community do to help?
Linda, you want to take that?
I think we're at peace or just in a place of responding. So we occasionally help with a gift card collection, a $25 gift card to Meijer or to Target so that they can purchase what they need. At Christmas, we put together Christmas gifts for them. I think that's the only way that we found to help. Matt is a lawyer. He was doing some of the legal work to help wherever he could to try to hurry along the work process for them. So I guess it's probably a question for them too, in our relationship with them through Matt, is what are your needs and how can a community help?
You want to take that, Natalie?
Mm-hmm. And Valentina just reminded me that she had half an hour to get whatever she had and to leave because she called it bus is leaving in half an hour. If you want to come, just come. So she came with nothing, no clothes, just her passport and documents. And so we had.
I guess too, the need doesn't stop. As the seasons change in Ohio, there's new need we go to our closet and pull out our winter clothes and put them away and bring the summer clothes. They don't have that. There was one family, I don't know if it was one of you that had a baby in June. So we tried to help with that, with a car seat and a stroller. And I mean, it's just kind of being on call. It's not deep pockets necessarily, but it's being on call to say, what can we do and how can we do it in response to what your need is and not us deciding what that need is, I guess.
Are there programs that allow people to sponsor people to come over even though they don't know them directly? Or is it just limited to someone has to be known over here to help someone come?
There is United for Ukraine program When there are sponsors from here, they're applying for Ukrainians, and there is database somewhere of those sponsors and people that wanted to come. Oh, and there are some people that doing that. And it's on Immigration Translation Services website, United for Ukraine program. Their person who wants to be a sponsor applies, and like financial documents attaches, and then it fills out the application for each person that wants to sponsor and bring here. But we usually, we want to, like if we know someone and then they know another family that is there in bad situation, like from the city where it's like really bad, then we would just, it's hard just to recommend someone, oh, you can sponsor this person. I wouldn't personally do it. I just need to know someone that knows someone that, yes, people are in real need, they need help. But there's
Minda mentioned the gift cards, which is certainly a huge opportunity, but we started thinking creatively, and we came up with the idea over the summer to take the kids to the zoo and to watch those little kids, you know, all the troubles that they were thinking about for 4 or 5 hours. It was, personally, it was just really moving. So, you know, I would urge you, if you're interested in helping think creatively, there's a lot of little kids over here.
Yeah, it was really good experience for them. They were really excited. They loved that trip, and they loved the attention, and they had pizza after that, met. But for them, they were so excited. Had a lot of good stories from that. Veta, I think, with kids, you were there with kids, right? The zoo. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hardest to get them somewhere like different zoo or Kusai Museum or somewhere. It's
Right.
Yeah, this is the.
So how many different family units is
We had like 8 families, 8 to
Yeah.
10 families, I think, in the beginning. And then for the Christmas gifts that church did, there were more children, I think, for about 20 children prepared Christmas gifts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were excited to receive gifts. Thank you very much. Yes.
Is peace by any chance connected with the Ukrainian Cultural Association in Ohio? Like I'm
No.
also wondering what they're doing to help.
No, we're not. Our connection is with CRIS, Columbus Refugee and Immigration Services. That's who we work with for any kind of immigration stuff. And no, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, because I was reading and I see that there's a Ukrainian Cultural Association here in Ohio, in Columbus.
There is one. It's in Columbus. It's not a really big one. It's more, I think, in Cleveland area. There are some representatives here because I read that they had some events for new coming refugees in a park. They just to get together to meet each other, but there are not so many people that they could like help.
Are they able to communicate with people back in Ukraine by text or phone or email?
Yes, they can, but but right now because of in Ukraine there is no electricity. Like I messaged my sister, she didn't respond for a long time, and today she said we didn't have electricity for a long time. They have sometimes 2 hours, sometimes 4 hours per day, and
Go ahead.
This Saturday, because of last attack, bombing, now it's like 8 hours each day since.
no electricity.
No electricity, yeah.
So it's harder to communicate with them. Yeah, but it was possible.
So how do you hear news then about how things are going?
So we have on Telegram, like personally, I have on Viber and Telegram, they have like news sources from my city and from like news sources from Ukraine, and I see what cities were bombed, what.
Telegram's like Twitter.
Telegram, it's maybe, yeah, like Twitter, something.
How often do you get to talk to your husband?
Well, we try to talk just a few words each day, but because of the 7 hours difference, so it's like he's 11 p.m. Mine is 4. That's our time when we can talk if he has electricity. But normally it's the normal talk we would have like once a week, I think. But at least text each other. With Mama, I try to text almost each day, like at least few words.
It's through Viber. It's like a program on the
Viber,
on
we
the
use
phone.
Viber.
Yeah, that it's if there's internet that they can communicate. But today I tried to. They didn't have good internet. They didn't have electricity, so I wasn't able to communicate with my sister. So it depends on the day right now. Yes, and because the winter, before the winter, a lot of electrical, those like power grid were attacked, and people are, it's no electricity, no heat. So,
You know, we are tired to be worrying. It's like when you each day in this, you're like kind of. But when the new attacks come, you again like, oh no. Again, you are in war again. Like you have to pray, you have to be aware of what is going on. So.
How do you decide what to share with your youngest daughter?
Як молодша в тебе дочка. And I can tell a couple of words to remind her. I took her the first day with mom to school. She did not get a foot in her classroom. Said no, and kids were friendly. Teacher was third grade, friendly. They wanted to communicate. They wanted to talk to her. She said, no, I'm not going. I don't know anyone. She did not speak English. I'm not going. And I left them in school, and mom was sitting with her in the hall in front of the classroom, like, and was trying to convince her that it will be okay, that everything will be fine, everybody will love you. It was really hard. How long did it took? She got a friend, another girl that came from Ukraine, and that other girl was, I don't know, she wasn't scared as Zlata was, I think, and because they got friends and she started to go to school. But it was
Zlata would teach her English. Like now she is better because really she felt like now she can help somebody like her. Like she was before afraid, and now she can encourage and support somebody else. So now she's like, oh. No, she feels like she can be stronger, you know, and yeah, but she still misses, especially dad and grandma. Like my older daughter would not be. She is more about friends, but the youngest, she would like to eat grandma's food or be just with grandma and dad. Oh, I want to play with daddy.
I worried about the younger one. Like she didn't want to go to school. She was afraid of everyone, and she constantly was telling me, "I want to go back. I hope we will go back soon." To my dad, to my grandma. Yes, it was.
So friends are blessings.
Yeah, we don't know. I think in schools, because I was doing interpreting for like teacher parents conference with our Ukrainian families, refugees. So some of the schools, they remember the kids had hard time, so they ask the parents if they want their kids to meet with a counselor, yes. But for adults, I didn't hear that would be such services.
What about with Chris? Does Chris have like counseling services?
I don't know.
I don't know about counselor, but I'm sorry.
How many Ukrainian refugees do you think are in Columbus? Do you have any idea?
I know on the west part, but it was like a month ago, I heard that there were like 400 people. but I'm not sure how many adults and
Is there a
children.
community where people can connect to say, to access services?
When they, I know that when they come in, Chris helps with some paperwork. And they could take them like for TB test because all the kids need to go to get TB tests done for the school. So they help with that, but I'm not sure, I didn't hear that they would help more than this.
Have you heard about Us Together? It's another group that works with,
Yes.
and they provide, what kind of services are they?
So us together, I was interpreting for them, so I know this organization very well. They were helping for a couple of months also with the paperwork when the refugees would come, but they didn't have grant money for that, so they're not doing that
So
anymore.
you're generally just doing paperwork.
They were doing that for a couple of months, not anymore.
How about the state? Is there any support besides bringing people in?
State, when people come in, they can help them with like food assistance and Medicaid. Somebody needs to fill out paperwork, and but they need to attend English classes. But it's harder because somebody needs to take them every day to English classes. So it's
Well, that's what I was thinking, like the one woman that's come here, she's an elderly person, maybe to link up with someone else. I mean, I would love to take her and I go to movies with her. I mean, I would go take her to places and stuff. But I just
вона хоче вас взяти і каже, і з вами все робити.
like they're connected, like they have something to trust.
Yeah, thank you. It's really important. Вона би вас так сюди возила.
You know, it helps us when we are with somebody, like, and for Valentina, for sure it would work, like, to spend some time with somebody else. Because when you're all the time by yourself, like, and you're always thinking about what is going on, you can just go crazy, really. Maybe we need a psychologist, I know. It would help, you know.
That's
Well,
what she
just-
was telling us about on the way here and crying that she felt by her
Yeah.
like, lonely.
So,
Yes.
yeah, the transportation was from the very beginning. That's really. We try to get sometimes bus to get somewhere, but because most of the places you have to have a car, a vehicle to get to, and for me too. Like, we would sit with kids, only depending, like, somebody will help us to get somewhere.
Even to the store, can walk. She has a store not so far from her, but to carry like, something from the store.
It's a good fitness. I still like it. Yeah, but you cannot take lots of stuff, so
When,
sometimes.
when it was a lot of snow, she couldn't go to the
no.
store also.
Yeah. And when you cook and you just realize that there is no sugar at your house, like you're, so you cannot just walk just to get sugar that distance. Sometimes, but sometimes it's very interesting. No, I like our adventures. Well, you know, it's God does something. Sometimes you would not think that how the situation can turn around. And God is doing something.
She went somewhere on the bus with kids. And she planned to be, she looked at the bus stop and she thought that they would cross, but it was a cross highway. And then after walking for an hour or hour and a half, she had to call someone and ask, please, can you come and pick us? Because no bus stop, we can't find a bus and there's no, we're not able to get to that bus stop. So they definitely had some adventures.
Parole with us, that'd be a better word for that. They have to go back, and this is one shot deal, and you come back.
It depends on the situation in Ukraine with the war. If they will extend. They said that for the other countries, if they're a bad situation, they would extend it for another year, but we didn't hear yet the decision. They said maybe delayed in the end of January or the middle of February, we will hear more on the decision.
And those types of things require approval in Washington, D.C., so imagine getting,
Parole is us deciding whether they can stay here or not, Ukraine deciding.
Yeah, yes, yes.
it would be easier if Ukraine could decide. I think the comment that the lady in the back made just struck a chord with me. I think the door is wide open for ideas on how to help, and some things may not require money, basic things like companionship, transportation, things like that. And maybe we at Peace also need to stretch our thinking a little bit and sit down with this group and figure out there's probably some basic things like taking someone to a movie or preparing a meal and giving moms a break for a couple hours, things like that. Yeah, right.
I love your model. I love this model of meeting your neighbors, because I'm going to take it back to Peace. I mean, I've learned so much from sitting here with them today that I didn't know. I mean, we had them come and speak for a few minutes on a Sunday morning, but getting the in-depth opportunity like this, just, again, you guys are opening my mind too to say it's one person at a time. If there's 3 people here and 3 people at Peace, it can make a big difference.
Lord knows I'm not volunteering, but I think tutoring would be another wonderful thing that someone who had the knowledge to do it could volunteer to offer.
Yes, it's really important, yeah, because many of them, they need English or like kids need help in school. It's also really, it's great, yeah.
Are the kids here?
No, we didn't. They do working on their work assignments, school assignments.
I was at the library this week, and one of the things that I didn't know was actually the library in Reynoldsburg. One of the things that I didn't know was that they have the opportunity to partner with groups in the community. So they have this form online where if you have a program idea, where you can go and fill it out. And I was like, So I just said to myself, well, it would be good to think about something. I mean, just having kids go to the library, I found out they even have Reading Buddies program where the kids can connect with other people. So even taking the kids to the library where they can sit on the computers and do things, I think that's another way to also get them engaged. But again, some volunteers have to be there to help guide the process, to support the library staff, in doing whatever. So I guess, like you said, the door is open. It's just for creativity. Thanks so much for sharing. I'm an immigrant, and I experienced 14 years of civil war in my country. I was 12 when the war started.
Було 12 років, коли війна почалася. Їй було 12 років, коли війна почалася в Україні.
So I'm explaining, I'm just having some reflections on what that is like. Just hearing the sound and just moving, not looking back. It's a tough one. I feel what you feel. In my case, in my country, it was a civil war. To some extent, I even think it's even more dangerous because it's like you're looking at your neighbor, you know people who kill each other. And so I feel that exactly. I know it's a challenge. But what I find interesting with your sharing is that as an immigrant and looking around, reading on Chris's website, Us Together, and other programs, I've had the impression that with refugees, there were more support as compared to immigrants. But what I'm hearing tonight that there's not much. You see that they've been doing business development services. There are just too many services out there. I'm like, it's good to know that there's that kind of support. But what I'm hearing tonight is that really there's not that much. And so it's really eye-opening for me, and well,
And the library is really good, yes, point. We took them, even the older girls, they loved our libraries. And there is a program, the Columbus Literacy, I think, Council, I applied personally for them to learn English. And Olga came in September. We just got an email that they're opening, because if the group is full, nobody accepts new, or they don't have enough space. So she just started yesterday online, over Zoom, I think, the first English lesson that she had, because they are not able to, I think, to support the need, because so many, or not many volunteers, or not many teachers, not many people that are able to provide that help. So it's not easy. It just takes time.
For the kids that you said are in school, are they in the need for tutoring support potentially? Are the children sufficiently understanding of the English language where volunteers could offer help tutor in different subjects? Or is there a language barrier?
But some of the kids, there is still language barrier, but as I was interpreting recently in school, and I noticed the teacher had Google Translate, and she wanted to explain something, and kid didn't understand. They would just translate through Google. It's the technology right now is helping a lot.
In school, they give a person like where is my younger daughter? There are 2 more Ukrainians in the 1st grade. There is a lady that were put to be with them. She would take sometimes them apart, teach them English, and she's asking them what you need, your questions, and translating with a Google, and she doesn't know Ukrainian, but her responsibility is to find out their questions and try to translate them, and even
It's ESL.
and give it back to the teacher. But it helps a lot. And sometimes even when the kids are just in this environment, I know for my Zlata, she said she will not even learn English. She has a hard time to be in something, but now she can talk in English. I don't know how it happened. Nobody taught her. So.
The last thing, is there any moments of joy in the midst of all this?
Чи є якісь часи, коли вам радісно все-таки посередині того всього смутку, тягарів, чи вам буває, що вам радісно?
We learn to be joyful when the new hardship come. We had to learn here how to work, how everything is working, because it's different. Everything is different, like food, bank system, whatever. And when something new happens, we just laugh. The new thing to learn about.
But what I can tell that they have joy when it's peace. It's you don't need to wake up with what's going to happen tonight. Today will be another missile attack or something. So they have that joy, and they were happy at the Christmas. We had family Christmas. We had some simple, but we had gifts, and we exchanged gifts. So kids were excited. I think we're trying. Everybody in YouTube, all of you are trying to do this, so we are really grateful.
Yeah. I appreciate, I'm going to take yours. The people at home, in order for them to hear me, they need me to have it. I appreciate you doing this and having to stare down all these people out there. So that was, and the great sharing, and it's just simply heartbreaking. I mean, I think everyone here will, it's hard to imagine our lives upended like that. And I think you've motivated a lot of people that to have some better conversations, as Lindora said, about what people do need and what we're able to offer with our time and talents. Gary?
Couple questions about living arrangements. Do you stay in apartments or with post-American homes, or what are those arrangements? And what part of town are most of the 8 families that East hosts? What part of Columbus?
Mostly with a host, they stay in with someone, yeah, and on the west side, because where we live, and then a lot of our families that we know that could accept them, they live on the west side.
West side. Yeah. And so no one lives alone?
No.
No, I mean. And where did you find a job? Did you find a job?
Yes.
Just recently.
Just recently? Was it hard once you got your permission?
Well, I was looking before, so I was waiting for my documents, so now I'm working in school.
It's not temporarily, it's not permanent. She will be looking for something different, but
Yeah, but
for right now.
I'm looking for something else.
She said, I need another job to support my family. I said, no, you probably need one, just better job. Because she just like support.
Private clinic, support patients.
She was in management and clinic and medical office and management position there. But here, just helping kids with different like school assignments. And
I don't, have you gotten permission to work yet?
Чи ти маєш вже дозвіл на роботу? She just got it, yes. And she just started, and said she here it's a little bit different. She was in geology in Ukraine, and she's working for Cafe Le Chatelaine in Upper Arlington.
Oh, so a real geology.
Yes.
Oh.
Neat, yeah, something.
That must bring you some joy, at least.
Каже, геологія, а тепер в кафе.
There must be nothing else just to fill time.
Can you repeat, please?
Yeah, if nothing else, just to have something to do with your
Каже,
time.
якщо не така дуже добра робота, але хоча б щось робити, да. And she started to go to English class, yes.
We want to honor the time that we made. I appreciate you coming out tonight. I want to remind you of Buwan will be here next week to talk about for the last of these 3 classes and the experience of the Nepalese immigrants that are part of our neighborhoods now too. I'm sure they'll be wandering around here for a few minutes if you wanted to come up and ask something else that you didn't get a chance to. Why don't we stand and close? We'll close with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you, people.